All right, welcome to the July 9th, 2024 City of Bloomfield Hills City Commission meeting. Let's all begin by reciting the allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first on the agenda, we have the consent agenda. Do we have any questions, any issues, anything to discuss?
The only question I have is on the safety one. Chief Gormley we haven't had, it looks like there's quieting down with the home invasions, or at least we haven't had them in our area.
We haven't had any in Oakland County that have been related to the Chilean games that I believe you're referring to since early spring. The last ones we've had in the city were Good Friday, and we didn't have any over 4th of July. We were kind of concerned with the holiday weekend coming up and the last ones being over the holiday weekend. But we had no issues, and everything's going good. We still do active patrols and some extra measures, and we don't want to let down our guard in that area.
Yeah, good.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Have any of the surrounding communities had any?
Birmingham had one that they're not sure if it's related or not. It could very well be related. That was about a month ago. And other than that, that's the only ones that we've had in Michigan, in our southeast area.
Okay, that's good news.
Okay. Thank you. I had no further questions.
Okay. I just wanted to say congratulations on the accreditation. That's quite an accomplishment. And also I wanted to thank you for the farewell wishes in your note. Appreciate that. So, maybe I should read it?
Yes, that
Yes.
would be very nice.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, this is from Chief Gormley. This will be my last report as Director of Public Safety for the City of Bloomfield Hills, and I'm very humbled and thankful to have had the opportunity to serve the City of Bloomfield Hills. I feel weird reading this for but I'm gonna continue. Including the residents, commission, officers, dispatchers, city staff, and DPW. I have been a member of the Bloomfield Hills Public Safety Department since September of 1998, and it has been a fantastic place to call home for all these years. I will forever be grateful for the friendships and mentorships and to all those who helped me through the journey of a wonderful career. The City of Bloomfield Hills and all those who make it a great place to live, work, and visit will always hold a special place in my heart. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Very
Chief.
nice. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on. This is where we recognize citizens of the audience. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have anybody that would like to speak tonight? This would be for anything that's outside of the agenda items. Doesn't look like we have anybody. All right, moving on. The commission will discuss the auto pool cover and fence regulations. Mr. Craig, are you wanting to speak?
I'll make a brief comment. Just on a side note, one thing generally, I don't know if anyone else has noticed a lot of coyotes, but in our property we have had many, and just wanted to make sure the commission is aware. The department has been out to our home. We didn't call, but several neighbors called, seen them roaming, so everyone should just kind of be aware, especially with having small kids in the area. It just makes us a little bit nervous. But we were educated, so thank you very much. Steve Craig, 753 Sebago. I'm going to be brief. I feel like I've been here every month for 6 months, and I'm not trying to convince anyone of what the code is. It's fact that the code allows us to have these automatic pool covers in the state. Many municipalities have adopted them. It is also a fact, and I've provided some supporting documentation, that statistically speaking, they are safer. I can't help it, every single meeting that I come by, I think about the enormous amount of time and energy and financial resources that are dedicated to discussion around fences. I listened to the end of the last meeting, and yet again, it was probably an hour and a half long meeting about primarily pool fences. We have an opportunity as a city to remove that from all of the future agendas to allow us to have safe pools as recommended by the International Pool and Safety Code, and to follow the same and consistent code that we use for all of the other building regulations in the city. So I truly appreciate you all taking so much time and attention, and to all of you individually that did your own research, thank you. And with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions that anyone may have.
Any questions for Mr. Craig?
So again, it's Birmingham and Franklin both allow pool covers, correct?
Yeah, if I recall, 19 states have adopted this. So all states, each
Arizona,
municipality-
California,
I can give you a list.
Texas, yeah. I mean, it's interesting that sunny states, it's not just, yeah.
19 states have adopted it. It's more and more each year. In addition to the 19 states, I think there's over 360 individual municipalities that have also adopted it. And that doesn't include necessarily those by reference. And that fact comes from the International Spa and Pool Association. They sort of published this. Again, it's the same code book that we use every single day in the city. It's written by the same people, published, and goes through the same stringent requirements.
I would like to just comment on some things you said. I agree with you to some extent, but also the fence issues aren't going to go away because we adopt a pool cover ordinance instead of a fence ordinance. I mean, some homeowners may opt to not install such a device, and therefore they would still need the fence. And some homeowners use the pool fence as an excuse to fence in their complete backyard, which is not a great thing. I'm not really in favor of that either,
Yes.
but so I think we have to be realistic about that aspect. And in my experience with just human nature, leaving that open is a real possibility, and walking away from it, forgetting it, there are just a lot of scenarios where that could happen. And I believe wholeheartedly that you would never do that. You seem very responsible, that you'd always make sure that it's shut when you're not using it, but you're not everybody else. And so those are where my concerns come in.
Sure.
We've talked about it before. I've had a personal experience where the fence actually prevented a problem. So I'm not trying to convince anybody necessarily here. I wanted to rebut some of what you said regarding, we're still going to have fences around
Yeah.
pools.
We're still gonna, for me, that's not a reason to adopt this, because we spend too much time talking about fences. That's the job of the planning commission, and that's fine. I accept that, but I do agree with you that, the scariest part about is when an invited guest ends up in the pool. And I have friends who have a fence that goes around just the pool perimeter, and they are fierce about always closing it. And I have other friends that have pool covers, and they always close the fence. They're just as nervous about someone getting hurt as, people are more responsible than we think, in my mind. But I just feel like it's more safe because it protects the children and the non-swimmers from the house to the pool. These fences that go around the whole house, and the kids can run in and out of, the house and jump in the pool without someone knowing is even more dangerous in my mind.
Any other comments? So do we have a motion tonight regarding this issue?
I'd like to make some comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question for you. What will you do for security if the cover is broken and it won't close?
So, not to not answer the question, but just a quick diversion, not to distract anyone, but I was at a party over the holiday weekend at a homeowner, I'm not gonna say who, within the city, and they had an approved, I assume, fence. And the fence was open the whole time, the whole day. It was an automatic closing fence and it broke. So I think the premise is that there can be mechanical failures, and they are with fences. And anyone that saw our property, the fence there that was installed was completely broken and had fallen over. But in general, what I would do is there's service companies, there's 3 in town, and the pool companies, and the majority of the owners in this city do have a relationship with either a pool builder or a pool maintenance company. We have not had a problem, but I called and asked our pool company, and they would send someone same day. If they were not available, I'd call one of the other companies, and if those folks weren't available, you can't actually manually crank the pool cover closed. Those are the things I would do. In my home also, I would have and do have additional safety measures, so I would be less concerned, but honestly, I probably would be much more attentive if that were the scenario, the same way that I would be in the event that some other property damage occurred. So maybe caution tape and cones.
Would you, if this was adopted, would you recommend that the homeowner would have to have a pool alarm in addition to that in case of it breaking?
So
I just last week, I screenshotted, I showed you, I ordered one online. That's highly recommended, and I have a screenshot of it.
some of the jurisdictions that have adopted this have, and California is one that has a secondary portion that we could certainly have, that requires additional layers of security, including something that monitors in the water, and they're really inexpensive. But they're actually in the water and they set up an alarm in the event of an emergency. Yeah.
Yeah, I would only feel comfortable adopting this with, requiring the owner have a pool alarm that they can access or use in the case of it breaking.
Okay, if everybody can just be patient with me for a minute. I have been on the commission probably the longest, right? So I've done a lot of changes of ordinances, had people come in front of us. One of the things I've learned on doing this is it's not what I believe in. It's really what the residents believe in. It's what the residents want. The residents vote for us, and what we are is, what's the legal term, or the governing representation of them. So, one of the things I looked at is I wanted to understand about when we say Birmingham and other Franklin communities. I did look into the Birmingham one, and Dirk, can you just read the one sentence about what it is with the Birmingham one?
Birmingham is a little ambiguous. I can see how they can construe it to say that pool covers are allowed, but it is ambiguous. It says, the relevant portion is, in either case, properties with pools or spas must comply with the minimum security fencing and barrier requirements of applicable construction, building, and property maintenance codes and ordinances. Apparently, they have taken the interpretation that this one particular international swimming and pool and spa code allows for pool covers, and so I think that's how they've interpreted it. But it is a little ambiguous.
Okay, and then, so it's a little ambiguous. It's not really like, yeah, you can have it, either or. So that understands. Also, I did a lot looking into, and I want to just personally thank Brian, our building enforcer and code enforcer, and John, who are both here. And, when you have to understand that ordinances and codes they're done by what they call ICC, International Construction Code. We, the city of Birmingham, did not sit down and write every single ordinance that we have. We literally, every community takes this ICC, International Code, rips the cover off the book and says, City of Bloomfield Hills, this is what we're going to adopt. And so when they say they allow it, like, I'm sure that maybe that's what the state of Michigan did. I don't know, but I'm just saying. And then communities change ordinances, into what fits them and their community the best. So I found that interesting. I also found one of the things I did do is I did my research. I talked to 32 residents. 31 residents out of the 32 thought we were crazy. These people were people who had pools, people who were new with pools, people who had covers, people who had the electronic covers, and people who did not. The one person who said, I wish I had one, was with this cover, said, and I wish I didn't have to have the fence. He goes, but I also wish I didn't have to have that stupid alarm on your door. So Brian, can you help quote what the building code is for alarms on, I don't know if you guys know this.
It's going to be an alarm on all the windows facing the pool.
Yeah, is that right?
And doors.
Whenever you use the home as a barrier, you are allowing doors and windows out into the pool area, so that has to be treated under section 305.4. What that requires is the door alarms, as soon as they're opened, will have a loud noise to tell that somebody is entering the pool area. That's what we look for right now. Pool cover or not, you need to have alarms on the rear doors.
That is required by everybody who builds a pool, has a pool? Interesting.
You get fence, auto cover, it doesn't matter to you, as soon as you're entering out.
That's great.
You're using the house as a barrier for the pool, so.
Glad to hear that.
We could take that down, is that correct? Can a homeowner take that off?
Sure.
Okay, I just wondered. All right. So I also called a pool builder and I talked to him. And this one pool builder said, I do put them in if a resident asks. He said, I used to service them, but I don't anymore. I tell them I can't because he couldn't keep up with the demand with the service. He said some people were 45 days or more without the pool cover. I also went as far as talking to a pool cleaner. It's a gentleman who cleans pools in the city. And I asked him what he thought of them. And he said, everybody who has one, I tell them, don't keep it closed for more than 2 days, because if it's heat or humidity in our community, he said, the algae and the chemicals on the pool and the pool just staying still. He said, he goes, it'll ruin it. So that was his, again, he's a pool cleaner, but he does deal with them every day. So all this being said, when I'm talking about this, we also can't govern responsibility, of homeowners. We can't be sure everybody's safe. I will say this, though. We had a person come in here, a lady who came in here, who was very, very much against burning of leaves. And she came every year in the fall, and she read a letter and said, I don't like burning, I don't like the smell, it's not good for you, it's the carcinogen. And so finally, what we did ask the chief at that time is how many people get permits, and we found out there was only 12. So we decided to change the ordinance, because this lady has been doing it for 5 years, and we changed the ordinance. In the next city meeting, we had a room full of people who were like, what the heck did you do? Why didn't you ask us? What were you doing? Now, I know that's extreme, it's different because it's not this, but I'm just a little concerned about the fact, I appreciate the time you've had and everything, but you are the only person who's coming in front of us right now. So for us to change an ordinance for one person in my mind, I'm trying to wrestle with it. Like, I'm thinking, I just don't know when a majority of people are saying no. The only other last comment I'm going to make is, and it's really not our concern, Dirk, probably, is what you're going to say, but it's the liability of the homeowner, right?
It would be, yes, it would not be liability of the part of the city.
However, I would say that the homeowner would probably use, if anything, if they were ever sued, they would probably say, I followed the city ordinance and building code.
Probably.
That's what I thought.
We would have governmental immunity though.
We would have government immunity, but the point is the homeowner could use that as a reference. Okay, yeah. So I have concerns. Also, in a little bit of it is, again, this is one of those ones where I'm like, I don't have a pool. I don't like fences. I do like your comment that you just made about the fence issue isn't gonna go away. You're right, every planning commission has a fence, and it's all, most people want a fence in their whole yard. And I hate that too, but, you know, it's not what I like. So I don't think the fence issues is gonna go away, but it's tough. I really wish we had a few more people coming in front of us saying, yes, we really want this. And we just don't have that right now. Not that I'm going to discredit you. You're really important to if you're a resident.
That's okay. Just to address a couple things. I mean, what I heard you talk about is the ICC and how we follow the ICC. And the reason communities like Bloomfield Hills and many others adopt the ICC is because they're the experts. Right? So it's because so the community boards and commissions aren't required to make the judgments. It's left to the experts. And this is an opportunity to do that. Of course, we can handle it however we want in our own city. Many cities do. In terms of thinking about the sort of some of the negligence issues, it's the same of any other potential hazard on a property. We have to accept that the homeowner is going to be responsible for those things the way we would. I think lakes can be hazardous, traffic can be hazardous, speeding can be hazardous, and I'm not sure how you're voting, but what I would say is to poll a small population may not be representative of the whole community. And I realize that there aren't any other members here, and it may not be something that's at the top of their priority list to come to these meetings, because not everyone is as dedicated as you all, or perhaps as I am, specifically to this issue or others. But it's possible that if we were to take a poll, that there might be many other people, if they were fully educated on the topic, that they may say, you know what, that is a good idea.
I would say you are probably more educated than most people on the topic. So.
I think, thank you.
You definitely are most educated. And this was the other problem I had is when I said, I would ask people and I'd say, you know, what do you think about having a cover? Everybody had a different definition of what a cover meant.
Yeah.
Some people thought it was the green cover that you put over the pool, you know, for the winter type thing. Some people thought it was that. Some people thought it was I might be saying this wrong, some kind of cover you put on that can heat the pool. It's a solar cover or something like that floats or something like that.
Yes.
Some people thought it was that. So there was this array of different
that would
definitions.
be clarified in the ordinance.
Yeah.
And this is modern technology. I mean, this, you know, the fences were from back in the day, and we do have this is modern technology. You can walk on it. And I have friends in California, they all use pool covers. They do not have fences. So, you know, I still think it's something to consider.
Do we have any other thoughts, comments?
No, I guess the only thing I'd volunteer is that I appreciate what you did, Susie. That's terrific. I mean, I look at us as really trying to formulate a safety code. At the end of the day, if the residents want to choose one as opposed to the other, it's got to be either or, and ultimately it's their burden. So I don't know that I get what you're saying, and I think it's thoughtful. I just think that if you've got two options and you could argue either way, you just have to support either way, and then ultimately, the homeowner may ultimately always want the fence, but they gotta have one. So I guess that's my perspective on it.
Well, I think we've discussed this in several meetings, and I think we've all now expressed our positions and our opinions, and you know mine, I know you know mine very well.
Yes.
And that I believe safety is paramount in terms of our ordinances. And I don't really care about liability, I don't really care about statistics. One injury, one serious injury, one death is enough to make me want to keep our ordinances the way that they are right now. And I think that's my job. I think my job is to look out for the city and the residents of the city in general. Excuse me. So I would like to make a motion, if I may.
I'd like to say something before. just in regard to the safety and it being as safe as possible. If we do look back, I believe in the last 10 years, the drowning in Bloomfield Hills that occurred was from an elderly woman that exited her home and drowned in her pool. And the bottom line is, if there was an auto cover,
If it was on at the time.
yes, if there was an auto cover that she had and used, she wouldn't have drowned.
But as I said,
That's the one
I don't,
example.
I don't base my decisions here on the commission on statistics in this instance. I really do think that there is an important reason why we have a fence requirement. And it's a physical barrier that doesn't move. Granted, the gate can be open and closed, but we require a self-closing gate that locks. So we're doing the best that we can to protect people. So I'm ready to make a motion. And I move that we deny all requests to amend our city ordinances to allow pool covers to be used in lieu of pool fences, and that we continue to require pool fences exactly as specified in our city ordinances without change.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it right now.
All right.
Okay.
All in favor to deny, say aye. Or
All in favor of the motion?
Of the
Of the
motion, of the
motion,
motion
is
that
aye.
that is
Yeah.
denied.
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
That's a tough one.
Motion carries.
This is a tough one.
Thank you. Just one a question in closing. Did you write that statement? It was so beautiful.
I did, yes.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Not that I want to beat this to death, but I do want to, one other thing that was said about fences and that the gates could be open, shut. A fence covers 95% of the pool access points. So if you've got a toddler, wandering away from a yard, wandering up to the back side of a fence of a pool, that fence is working whether the gate is shut or not. So there, I think a lot of things get said in equivalent terms, and they're not equivalent. An open gate is not equivalent to an open pool cover that's not functioning. They're not equivalent. So, that's why. I wish I could believe in what you were saying, but just the personal experiences I've had, and yes, fences aren't perfect, but they do cover 95% of that pool, and shield against a toddler wandering into it. They would have to find the gate, which is going to be near the house. So.
Not from inside the pool, though. Not from inside the pool.
Well, all right, we're done with that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Next up, the commission will appoint the election inspectors to serve during early voting and at the August 6th, 2024 election. Amy?
Thank you very much. As you may recall, the City Commission serves as the election commission for the City of Bloomfield Hills. So before every election, I bring to you a list of workers who will be appointed to serve. For this August 6th election, it will be to serve for both early voting and on election day. This is the pool of people who have been trained or will have completed training before July 27th, which is the first day of early voting. And this is the pool of people that we will appoint to serve either a half shift or a full day shift for the early voting and on election day.
So you said it's 11 days, right?
It is 9 days, beginning the 27th of July through August 4th, and then August 6th, election day.
And you have people that will cover the early votings, that they come in and
Yes.
all these people, so that's why did we have to add people?
I'm training more people that are interested for this August election because I will need more people for November. So I'd like to have them to have one election under their belt before we add additional staff for the November 7th election.
You're always ahead of me. That was my next question, to talk about November. Because November is going to be, I would anticipate, a very high turnout, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we, just as a point of reference, this was the first election, not the presidential primary. You had to select the type of ballot that you wanted, so it's a little bit different. But this was the first election that the permanent mail ballot list was in place, so you didn't have to request your absentee ballot for this election. You did it one time. August of 2022, we sent out about 700 absentee ballots in advance, our first push, and last week we sent out 1,200. So the interest in absentee voting has not decreased with the option to early vote. Just a point to note.
So that's why we, for instance, my boys vote absentee or when they were in transition to other states. So that's why they get them automatically
Yes.
at the house?
They requested to be on the permanent ballot mail list, so they do not have to request every time.
Oh, okay.
That was part of the election law change, the massive changes to election law that included early voting. That was an additional change.
Oh, okay, good to know. And will we have, you said you're gonna, how many more do you anticipate for the November one?
I would expect to add, I will be adding likely a help desk position at each precinct, so it will take away some of the stress from the regular flow of traffic. I would expect to add between 2 and 3 people additional at each precinct for November.
Okay, and we have enough?
Yes.
How many people would be working on a given day? Just 2?
In early voting?
Yes,
In early voting, I have to have a minimum of 3 people at a time.
at each location?
In early voting, we just have one location,
Just
so
one.
both precincts come and vote here, in this room.
So this group of people would be sharing that time?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Do you need anything else for the election? We have all the equipment and everything. You purchased that, correct?
Yes.
Will we need anything additional?
No, we were very successful in moving. The commission had decided to stay on our own and have early voting here, and February was a great time to do it, and it was successful with everything we had in place. So I don't anticipate any additional equipment or anything beyond the staffing.
So you think because this early voting is new, but November's supposed to be heavy, you think you'll have enough staff to handle if the early people, for the people that vote early, but your comment was the absentee hasn't changed.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
people just are choosing to do absentee as opposed to coming in early.
Right. I think when people just in general ask me about early voting, my stance is we really have to see one whole election cycle to see how it's going to be used. And I could probably give you a better answer after November, what I think this community will do for early voting. My instinct says that absentee ballot is still going to be a popular option for Bloomfield Hills.
Because it always has been.
And they're comfortable with it, and they understand our process of how we tabulate absentee ballots. They're comfortable that they can come in and see the testing process. They can come and watch the actual vote counting process. So I think this community is confident in the absentee ballot process.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for being able to answer everything.
Thank you.
A quick question. How many of the folks on the list here are new to the process?
There are 2 people, 2 individuals, 2 college students that want to work in August that will then be trained. So once, you only have to be a registered voter in the state of Michigan to vote, to work election. So they could now, once they're trained here, if they are at a local university, Oakland University, they could still drive here and work. If they're going to be off in a different city, they could work at another college campus because they're trained to do elections. I expect all of these people to come back in November.
So they don't have to be residents?
You do not have to be a resident. You have to be a registered voter in the state of Michigan.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. Okay. Good to know. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the list of election inspectors for the August 6, 2024 primary election as stated in the memo.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. The commission will hear city manager comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention that our last goal for 2024 is working on ordinances. And we started, but we're off to a slow start. But I think it's important. I'm actually very fortunate. We have Dirk, who's been working with the city for 30 years. He understands these ordinances. And I have Amy Burton, who's been working with the Planning Commission longer than all of us here. So she's been 20-some years, and she is able to support some of the recognition, some of the problems that we view. And I know that Commissioner Fisher had mentioned that we want to work on some of the ways that it's creating additional costs for residents. For example, we identified one ordinance that we needed some clarification on, and we're working on that ordinance, and that's the accessory structure and making those identifications. The reason why we started to do that is because we have had to use Dirk on many occasions to look at some of these structures that are in these side yards and rear yards and whatever, and do some analysis and opine on, from a legal standpoint, what this proposal is. And so because of that, that's costing residents some extra money because we have an ordinance that requires us to charge them for these reviews and this analysis. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with a resident today who argued with her statement, her escrow statement, of why we had to have a legal review on a portion of her proposal. And so we're trying to identify some of these things, but my approach is going to be that we have somebody, a city attorney, that deals with these ordinances or understands these ordinances as a matter of law. And so I'm going to continue to use him to tell us the meaning of these ordinances. And when we identify things that we don't think are applicable or should be changed, then we go through the ordinance process, ordinance review and modification process. So I just want to let you guys know that we're in that, in starting that. I know the mayor's involved in that, but maybe it's important for the mayor to understand why, because I think what we really need to do is future-proof these ordinances, because we're all going to be changing seats. I'm not going to be here, and there's other people that are not going to be here, and we all need to understand. Not only do we need to understand the ordinances, but the residents need to understand them, and they need to be simple to understand and unambiguous, and so that's what we're working on. We're going to continue to do so, but we've been working on one for about a month, and so it may be a slow process. This may be a several-year goal, but I just wanted to mention it to you because I also want your support too. I also want your support in what I'm trying to do, and I know our staff really believes in it, and we have that perspective. We have the perspective of being on the planning commission meetings and going and hearing the proposals and hearing what's happening. We have the perspective of dealing with the residents and dealing with the contractors and dealing with the homeowners and the consultants and the pains that we all go through to get to these points. So I think that some of these things need to be clarified, and so I appreciate your support as I continue to do this.
Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you for doing that. I think that's a really good idea because going forward, like as you said, we're really doing things for the future.
Yeah, it's more
Not for today, but for the future. And okay, that's good.
And that's all I have. So, but I wanted to talk about Jeff for a second, if that's okay. Jeff, we have something for you up here, but I have some notes here. But interesting, Jeff. He started back in 1998 as a public safety officer, and I remember running into Jeff. I wasn't working here yet, and he was, I think he was a public safety officer or a sergeant, and I remember how professional he was. And I had the opportunity, I believe, in 2015 to promote him to lieutenant because of his character. He's the consummate professional. Sometimes he drove me crazy because, sometimes my reactions to things are a little more pronounced than him. But he's very even keel. I even wrote something when we went through the the interview process about him that Jeff has a thoughtful and measured approach to his leadership and management, and he does. He's really highly respected in the public safety department, and the staff just loves him. So they were actually very upset that he was leaving. So, but Jeff really was that loyal employee to the city that we'd all hoped to hire and have here. And there was never a time that his interest wasn't for the best interest of the city. And I can't say that about everybody here. I just can't. I can say it about a few people here. But I know that his leaving here is shocking because we all want him to stay here. But he's always been very dedicated, and we've all been very impressed with him. I have been, and he always did his job. He did his job as a lieutenant. I knew him as a sergeant for a short period of time. I think captain too. Didn't I promote you to captain? And then I recommended him for the chief's job. And so I think it was critical that he was in that job for that period of time, because we went through some changes, and I think where we all ended up is a good place. And the path to success isn't always straight. But I know Jeff went through some of those pains with me to make some of those changes. They weren't easy. We made some big changes to the department, and but we I think had the foresight to turn it around and go back with some of those things that we allowed before, but in a new way. And Jeff, I think, really understood that. So I'm sorry to see Jeff go, but I'm really happy that I got to work with him, and I don't know. I think everybody's going to be sorry to see you go, Jeff, but we wish the best for you, and we would just love to give you this, if I can give you this little token.
Come
Token of our appreciation here. Maybe you can.
Aww.
Says
beautiful.
Jeff Gormley, City of Bloomfield Hills, Director of Public Safety, hired in 1998, retired in 2024 as chief. In recognition of your career and dedicated public service to the City of Bloomfield Hills and its citizens.
Aw.
One thing I forgot to mention is that he was one of the only public safety employees that all the longtime residents would come in and see him. Just because he took care of people, he took care of the residents, and it was nice. I mean, maybe the older resident that needed help, Jeff was the guy that they came to see. So, I guess I didn't mention. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. And to this day, he's got a lot of people who like him. Yeah.
It's been a wonderful place to work for 26 years. I've been very grateful and thankful to have a job here. It's provided beautiful for my family, gave me opportunities both professionally and personally, and I truly had a wonderful career, and I love the city, and it's been a great place to be. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you very much.
Good luck to you, okay?
Thanks.
I have business.
Okay.
Are we on to the
We
next
will
one?
we will consider other business.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you for acknowledging the coyotes. And maybe all those calls came from the Rudgate Association. I'm pretty sure they have. But I want to go on record and state this, because I know what the policy is. We're not going to shoot them. But this coyote was attempting to go after my dog. If my husband wasn't there, it came right up on our lawn. We have lived in this for a very long time. This subdivision, we've seen, and we live in a ravine, I get it, and we have seen coyotes. But never one has come up on our lawn like that. And the Craigs can attest, they have small children. And these coyotes are different. They have bushier tails, they're bigger, they're more aggressive, and they're not afraid of people. And just we have film that they went after one dog in the subdivision. And actually, if the dog was out front, and it was a big dog, it wasn't a small one, the dog was out front, a guy just driving down the street going to dinner saw the coyote go to attack the dog, got out of his car, pulled over, got out of his car, and was trying to distract the coyote from the dog. We have video of it, and I sent it to the chief, I sent it to Dave, and everybody's like, well, they just live with us, and we gotta believe it, but this pack is different, that's living right next to them.
It's living in that back wet area. There's actually a trail.
Yeah.
There's pups now.
Yeah,
I have pictures. They come out during the day and they just stare at you. And
Wow.
they're terrifying. Like the dog it went after weighs more than my 6-year-old.
yeah.
Wow.
It's
I don't
in,
know if it's a coyote.
we think, actually, I sent the pictures, I called some wildlife people and some other people in the neighborhood have too. And the pictures that I sent to wildlife people, they're saying, this isn't your typical coyote, it's mixed.
That's
It's
what
mixed with something else because it's not afraid of people and it's going after domestic animals. Normally, and everybody goes, oh, once they eat up all the rabbits and stuff, I got rabbits bouncing across my yard, they're still going after my dog. So even last Sunday, I was walking down the road with my husband and the neighbor came screaming out at me because the 2 coyotes were in her backyard and they were going after her 2 small dogs. And so she said, if I hadn't been in my basement and look out and saw them, they were on a tether. But anyway, my point being is they're around. I know we're not supposed to shoot them or anything, but I feel sorry for the chief or the police. It attacks one dog and somebody's going to go crazy because I know everybody loves their domestic animals. And God forbid it attacks a child or even goes near a child. So look, here's the thing about coyotes. They're at the top of the food chain. I've done a lot of research on this. They're at the top of the food chain. There is nothing around here to kill the coyotes. The only thing that kills a coyote is a wolf. We don't have wolves here. So the coyotes at the top, they're going to keep multiplying with their pups. Can I share what the coyote did with the deer? And when you tell her, sorry, the deer.
Well, I don't know how the deer got killed, but Steve and Pierce were in the car driving and saw the wolf, or the coyote, eating the deer. Till it was just a carcass lying there.
Thanks for whoever took it
Yeah,
away.
someone took, but it was traumatizing. He still talks about it. I have pictures of this wolf.
I've sent them to him. Let me
just
Yeah.
ask a question. Under what circumstance would we address the coyote in this case?
Coyotes we address when they're actively aggressive towards a domestic animal or a person.
And what does that mean? Because there are examples where it's
When
happened.
we have to observe them being actively attacking or being aggressive to the person or the animal, or if they're sick or diseased.
So the video.
But the problem is,
Well,
what
that's my
he just
question.
said is, they have to observe them. Every phone call that we make, and you can hear it on, I'm sure, on the thing, I'm screaming at him, and I go, the coyote went after the Rottweiler behind me, it came into my yard, my husband saw it, I'm calling the police, I'm racing home. By the time the police come, the coyote's gone. You're never gonna kill him.
Well, I guess my only comment is, in today's day and age where videos are so rampant and used, isn't that satisfactory? If you review the video and you say, well, that's a sign of
The
aggression.
videos we have in our possession don't really show any kind of active attack. The coyotes are in the domestic dog is 20 feet apart. There's a car and a driveway in between. There's 2 different angles of the same video, and that's the only video I have. There's another one of the Rottweiler I've asked for. I have not seen that video. I don't know. I've heard of it, but I have not seen it. I have seen the one in front of Simon's house, and we have that video. But
Yeah, this is a concern, I bring it up because they're gonna just keep multiplying in this city. And if it truly is more than just a coyote or some kind of crossbreed of something, they are going to get dangerous.
I did reach out to the state of Michigan DNR resources, spoke to them in Lansing. They said one of the problems with just removing individual coyotes is more will come in. You have to wait for the food source to leave the area because you will not be able to remove enough. They will just keep coming into wherever that food source is.
So it's gonna get worse.
I
It's gonna be
can
worse.
tell you that the conversations that we're having are the exact same conversations that I heard of in 2013, and they did move on. And we never did have a coyote attack a dog or a person. In that video that I saw, to me, that coyote was not being aggressive. They were chasing each other around a little bit, but it wouldn't lend, if I was there and I saw that, it wouldn't lend itself to me that this coyote was being aggressive enough that it was providing an imminent threat that I would extinguish that animal. I'm just telling you. So, and this is no different than what we experienced in 2013. We had several residents saying the same things. And that deer was probably sick because they eat sick, they kill and eat sick deer. And I hope to God I'm wrong. Or I hope to God I'm right about this. I hope to God that nothing ever happens to anybody. But with the information that we have so far, and that a coyote's in a yard and is looking at your dog, or a coyote ran by and a dog's circling around, or a coyote's eating a deer, or a coyote runs across the road, or a coyote has a bushy tail, it's just not enough for the public safety department to take any more action than what we are.
Okay.
I'm just,
Yeah, but I'm going to keep an eye on it.
I know.
We are going to keep an eye on it. The other one I have is, I did have a resident call me about the replacement street signs. They feel that the new street signs, I won't,
You don't like them?
they think they look cheap. There was just two residents that called me and said, and walked me down to the corner and said, these look extremely cheap for our city.
Are they the metal ones?
Yeah.
No, I think.
The wooden?
The wooden ones
So-
with the plastic.
So
like-
what we have right now is we have, we did go through the city recently and look at a lot of street signs. I actually was driving around, I couldn't read half the street signs, and a lot of letters are falling off. And so I remember some years ago that some commissioners liked the patina of some of these old signs and that sort of thing. And so, matter of fact, there's one right now at Hunt Club and Long Lake that has that sort of old look. It's a wooden sign. And so we used to cut our wood and paint it black and then stick on letters, and it was looking kind of cheap. And so I asked Jamie, our DPW person, I said, I want you to go through the city. I want every sign pole straightened out, plumb it out, and correct them so you can see them, and start replacing all these signs, and use metal signs with, so you can see them, that they're a little bit reflective at night so you can see them and you know you're going. But not so black and gold, but not so, noticeable. And so that's what we've been doing. I think they look great, but the old process that we had for years was cutting a piece, a 1x something, painting it black with a spray can and sticking letters on it. And to me, that seemed kind of cheesy.
I think that's what this is. I think you
Yeah.
should probably go out and take a look at it, because it is wood and it looks like their words to me was, it looks like a kid was sitting there sticking the letters on.
I'll take a look at it. So what I also asked them to do is at least make the signs that are so bad right now, that you can read them. And we had to order more of these metal signs, and we had to actually order more of the connectors on the top of the post. So, I mean, if you guys want something different, normally they're supposed to be green and white, but we're just making them black and gold. I think it's a good. It looks good.
Oh, it should be.
It seemed to me, Dave, that some of those signs were actually carved. If you look at some of maybe the really old ones.
The really old ones were carved.
Okay.
I just can't get Jamie Spivey. with a hammer and
I wonder if you can get them made.
I'm sure.
yeah. I'm sure you
there's
could.
someone on Etsy or something.
You probably could. There's a lot of street signs, and so
Yeah, it'd be
Probably more than-
expensive.
we did find a pretty good deal on buying actual black street signs and then putting the letters, the gold letters on it. So I mean, I thought it was a pretty good solution. But if you know, we haven't put a ton of money into it. If the commission wants something different, we certainly can do that. But my concern was that these things were just so bad. I mean, geez, straighten these things out. Let's get some legible signs out here. So that's what we did. And I think they're still doing it.
I think it's worth looking into and getting more of a consistent basis, because, and then now when someone brings it up to you, now I'm looking at every street sign in the whole city going, and they are a hodgepodge of every different thing. And
Yeah.
But it seemed like there must have been a policy at one time where they were the wooden black signs with the either carved or separate letter. I always thought it was a policy that the city, you know, had those kinds of signs. Is there any history behind that we could maybe look into and just see where that came from? And might be interesting to.
Well, we'll certainly try. Yeah, we'll look at in our records to see if we can find something.
It is kind of unique to the city.
It is.
Yes.
I understand the need for, you know, the need to actually read the sign,
Yeah.
but
Well, I mean, yeah, our solution, and I've been here 11 years, so our solution for 11 years was buying a 1x board and cutting it with a saw and
That's
painting it.
crazy.
And so, you know, half the signs were that out there. So I thought, well, there's a better solution than that. But there are some of those old, I think that the sign at Hug Club in Long Lake is one of those old. It looks pretty good. That's why I said just leave it, because it has that old patina. But
Or maybe the most visible ones or the most well-traveled ones should be, you know,
yeah,
a
we
lot
can.
nicer.
Oh, that's a
We
good
certainly
idea.
can, you know, do
Yeah.
some sort of, you know, hybrid solution where there's certain ones that we can find a cooler looking, you know. I don't know, if that's something the commission wants done, I can get that done, but I just trying to be pragmatic about signs.
I think that signs are important. Look, if my 75-year-old father, the first time he came into the city driving, and I was talking to him one time about, well, black and gold is our, you know, sort of our brand, our signature. He goes, I know when I come in the city. He knew when he would come down Lasser Road when he was in the city, because
Yeah.
he saw the street signs. So I think I like your idea about like visible ones that are well trafficked. We should kind of
Highlight it.
Upgrade those.
upgrade those and highlight it and make it a little bit nicer. And then if you want to, and
Just maybe do 10 a year.
yeah, or
And
something
just
like that. Start
replace-
replacing them and let's get them upgrade so it's a little bit of a nicer look.
Well, what do you mean by, what would that be? I would need some direction on what type of sign, because right now we're replacing with metal signs. And they seem to work fine, but if you want something different, would you like?
why don't we all
We should find an example of what we want.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
this is a homework assignment. We
Right.
can go and look at all the signs and come back and
Yeah.
provide some
Yeah,
suggestions.
because, I mean,
And even a resource if anyone has one.
Yeah, good idea.
yeah.
Okay.
And we'll try to look some history up too.
Okay, yeah. My only last thing I want to ask, it is my last ask of duty of you, Chief, is as the east to west traffic is, you know, everybody's trying to find a different route. And Lone Pine, I've been experiencing on our walks. My husband just almost got plowed over this week on Lone Pine across from Cranbrook. Cars between 5:15 or 5:30 and 6:30 are just zooming down that pathway. A car literally went close to the curb and hit his shoulder, the right hand. I mean, I almost called you guys. I didn't have my phone with me, but he literally went like this because the thing was so close, and it was traveling probably, I'm guessing, 40 miles an hour. So if we could have maybe a patrol car there every once in a while to slow that traffic down.
We can certainly do extra patrols in afternoon shift for Lone Pine.
Because I think people are just trying to find alternate routes because they don't want to go on 16 Mile, they don't want to go on Long Lake, that's Commissioner Fisher's favorite road.
Well,
You
it's
know,
closed at Long Lake, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Isn't it at Eastways closed?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet,
yeah,
okay.
but it will be soon, yeah, because we were coming back from that and I was warning them. So I just want to let you know, it's probably going to get worse, but they are barreling down Lone Pine. So if you could, that would be great. And
We will take care of that, and we can put out some of the radar signs too. They help bring awareness to those issues.
when you have that, yeah, okay. And then also that painting on it's summertime, were you gonna paint Lone Pine Road, that, the stop sign that shows people where to stop at? We talked about that, the neighbor who sent me an email on it, and you said we can't do it in the wintertime.
By Cranbrook?
Lone Pine and Cranbrook, yeah.
I think we already did it.
Oh, did you? Okay, I just wanted to remind
Pretty
you.
sure we did it.
Okay,
The crosswalk, there was a new crosswalk added near Christ Church. that was
Yeah.
painted.
Yeah, we did it.
oh, did you? Okay, fine, yep, okay, that's what that's all my question.
That's a
all?
tricky.
Right.
Sorry about that.
No other business? I guess we're ready to adjourn.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.